Imagine for a moment that you are a biological engineer tasked with designing the perfect organism. You create a creature that is apex, intelligent, and adaptable. But then you add a flaw, a fatal, inexplicable flaw. Every single day, for 8 hours, 1/3 of its entire existence, this creature must lie down, paralyzed, blind to threats, and totally unconscious. In the wild, this is a death sentence. While you sleep, you cannot gather food, you cannot reproduce, and you certainly cannot run from a predator. Evolution is a ruthless optimizer. It usually deletes inefficiency with extreme prejudice. And yet, sleep has remained. It is universal. From the fruit fly to the blue whale, everything sleeps. This suggests that sleep isn't a mistake. It is a biological ransom we pay for being alive. But what are we buying? For millennia, we looked to the stars or the soul for answers. We thought dreams were prophecies, whispers from the divine, or the wandering of the spirit. Freud told us they were repressed desires. Jung told us they were archetypes. But the truth might be far less romantic and far more mechanical. What if the vivid, emotional, chaotic hallucinations we call dreams are simply the side effects of a nightly cleaning shift? What if dreaming is just the sound of the brain taking out the trash? To understand this, we have to look at the economics of your biology. Your brain is a glutton. It weighs about 3 pounds, roughly 2% of your body weight, yet it consumes 20% of your body's total energy. It is an electrical furnace, constantly firing billions of neurons to process vision, language, movement, and the subtle anxiety of existence. And like any furnace, it produces smoke. Every time a neuron fires, it creates metabolic waste, proteins like amyloid beta and tau. In the rest of your body, the lymphatic system, a network of vessels, acts as a sewage system, scrubbing these toxins away. But the brain is locked inside the skull, a fortress of bone. There is no room for a lymphatic network. For decades, scientists were baffled. The brain is the most active organ, producing the most waste, yet it has no bathroom. It wasn't until very recently that we discovered the secret door. It's called the glymphatic system. Here is the mind-bending reality of what happens the moment you lose consciousness. When you drift into deep sleep, your brain cells do something impossible. They shrink. Glial cells, the support structure of your brain, contract by up to 60%. Imagine looking at a dense, traffic-jammed city like New York. Suddenly, every building shrinks to half its size, widening the streets. This creates space, and into this space rushes a clear, crisp fluid, cerebrospinal fluid. It floods your brain, washing through the tissue, picking up the toxic proteins, the metabolic exhaust, and the cellular debris accumulated during your waking hours. It flushes them down into the bloodstream to be disposed of by the liver. You are not just resting when you sleep, you are being power washed. But where do dreams fit into this janitorial duty? Consider the process of memory consolidation. During the day, you are bombarded with sensory data, the taste of coffee, the color of a passing car, a snippet of conversation, the stress of a deadline. If you kept all of it, your neural hard drive would crash. You need to delete the noise to preserve the signal. Some neuroscientists propose that dreams are the accidental byproduct of this sorting process. As the brain fires autonomously to strengthen important synaptic connections, moving memories from short-term to long-term storage, it also prunes away the weak ones. It creates a chaotic storm of electrical signals. Your conscious mind, the storyteller part of your brain, is technically asleep, but it's not dead. It catches these random firing signals, a face from high school, the sensation of falling, a childhood pet, and it desperately tries to weave them into a coherent narrative. It tries to make sense of the cleaning process. This is why dreams are so often bizarre. They are not a movie scripted by a director. They are a collage of clips from the editing room floor.
You are watching your brain defragment its hard drive. But there is a darker implication here. If sleep is the janitor and dreams are the noise of the cleaning, what happens when the janitor goes on strike? We know that the accumulation of amyloid beta, that sticky toxic waste, is a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. We know that one sleepless night increases the levels of these toxins in the brain significantly. It leads us to a terrifying thought. The clarity of your consciousness, your personality, perhaps your very soul, is entirely dependent on this nightly wash cycle. We tend to think of ourselves as the sum of our experiences. We are what we remember, but perhaps we are actually defined by what we forget. If the brain didn't dream, if it didn't wash away the trivialities and the toxins, the noise would drown out the signal. You would be trapped in a labyrinth of irrelevant details, unable to distinguish the important from the mundane. So, the next time you wake up from a strange dream where you were flying through a library made of glass, don't look for a mystical meaning. Marvel instead at the machinery. Realize that while you were helpless and paralyzed, a tide was rising inside your skull, scrubbing the shores of your mind, ensuring that when you opened your eyes, you would be you again. We sleep to forget the things that don't matter, so we can remember the things that do. We dream not to escape reality, but to preserve the ability to perceive it.
But even the most efficient cleaning cycle doesn't explain the cinema. If the brain merely needed to flush toxins or file away memories, it could do so in the dark. It could do so in silence. There is no biological necessity for the high-definition, surround sound, emotional roller coasters we experience every night. Why does the janitor need to put on a play? To answer this, we must look at the content of the dreams themselves. If you analyze 1,000 dream reports from people all over the world, you notice a pattern. We rarely dream of typing on a keyboard, or brushing our teeth, or waiting in line at the post office. We dream of being chased. We dream of falling. We dream of losing our teeth, of being naked in a crowd, of fighting monsters. We dream of threat. This brings us to the evolutionary threat simulation theory. Imagine you are an early human living 50,000 years ago. The world is a terrifying place. A rustle in the grass could be a tiger. A strange berry could be poison. A social misunderstanding could get you exiled from the tribe. Survival requires practice. But practicing these things in reality is too dangerous. You can't practice dying. So, nature built you a simulator. When you enter REM sleep, rapid eye movement, your body paralysis kicks in. This is the safety lock. Once the lock is engaged, the brain boots up a virtual reality program. It throws you into a worst-case scenario, a predator, a fall, a social humiliation, and it forces you to react. It is training your amygdala, the fear center of your brain. It is rehearsing your fight or flight response in a sandbox environment where the consequences are zero. When you wake up with your heart pounding from a nightmare, you haven't just had a bad night. You have successfully completed a survival drill. You are now statistically slightly better at surviving that specific threat than you were when you went to bed. But the simulation isn't just for survival, it's for innovation. There is a peculiar chemical shift that happens when you dream. During the day, your brain is bathed in noradrenaline, a molecule associated with focus, stress, and execution. It keeps your thinking linear and logical. A implies B, B implies C. But when you enter the dream state, the supply of noradrenaline is completely shut off. It is the only time in the 24-hour cycle that your brain is free of this anxiety molecule. Without the chemical restriction of logic and focus, the brain becomes hyper-associative. It starts connecting distant, unrelated ideas. It merges the concept of a snake with the concept of a benzene ring. It combines a sewing needle with the mechanics of a loom.
This is why so many breakthroughs, from the periodic table to the melody of yesterday, came to their creators in dreams. The waking mind is a strict editor. The dreaming mind is a boundless writer. So we have a cleaner, a warrior trainer, and an artist living inside our skulls. But this leads us to the final, most unsettling realization about the nature of consciousness itself. We tend to divide our existence into two distinct states, waking life and dreams. We view waking life as the objective truth, perceived through our senses, and dreams as the internal fabrication. But neuroscience suggests the line is not that clear. When you are awake, you aren't seeing the world directly. Your eyes take in photons, your ears take in vibrations, and your brain interprets these electrical signals to construct a model of the world. You are actively hallucinating your reality every single second. It is just that when you are awake, your hallucination is tethered to sensory input. It is constrained by the laws of physics and the light hitting your retina. Dreaming is simply that same hallucination process, but untethered. The anchor is cut. The brain continues to construct a world, but it relies on internal data rather than external data. This means that waking up is not leaving a dream. It is simply switching the channel of the simulation. It is moving from the offline server to the online server. And if that is true, it forces us to ask the ultimate question. If the machinery that creates your dreams is the exact same machinery that creates your reality, how much of your daily existence is just a story your brain is telling itself to make sense of the chaos? Perhaps we never truly wake up. We just lucid dream with our eyes open. So tonight, when you close your eyes and the darkness takes you, remember, you are not turning off. You are logging in. You are entering the oldest, most advanced virtual reality engine in the universe, built to clean your mind, sharpen your instincts, and perhaps, just for a few hours, show you what you are truly capable of when the laws of physics no longer apply. Sleep well.